Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond the Gates. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Beyond the Gates, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. I thought I'd seen it all until Allison crashed our launch, calling Chelsea her wife in front of thousands of people. I froze. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking, and I thought, this can't be real. But it was. And then there's Dani, waking up married to Andre, hungover, panicking over annulments, while Bill keeps circling her like a predator, and Hayley's fury, it's like a storm ready to explode. And Tomas. Kat wants him back, Eva's got him in her arms, and I'm watching this whole mess unfold like a train wreck I can't look away from. Allison's stalker scheme explodes and Hayley's fury ignites major conflict. I never thought my life would spiral into something that looked like a soap opera script, but here we are. When I sit back and think about everything that's happened, Allison's obsession, Dani's mess with Bill and Andre, Kat's desperation with Tomas, Joey's shadow over Vanessa, I sometimes wonder if the universe is testing us all at the same time. Let me start with Allison. Because if there's one thing that shook me to my core, it was realizing just how far someone could go when obsession turns into delusion. Chelsea and I had worked for months, no, years, on the Chelsea Cat line. It wasn't just about purses. It was about proving we weren't just pretty faces or someone's ex-girlfriend or sister. We wanted to build something that was ours. Something we could show the world and say, we made this happen. The launch day was supposed to be one of the happiest days of our lives. Madison was in the corner cheering us on. Samantha was running the live stream with all the confidence of someone twice her age, and Chelsea and I were buzzing with nervous energy as the numbers rolled in. People were buying. People were actually buying. And then Allison happened. I should have known she'd find a way to make it about her. That's the thing about stalkers, about people who convince themselves they're entitled to your life. They don't just disappear. The phone call came through the live stream like a cold knife against my skin. At first, I thought it was some prank, but the second I heard her voice, my heart stopped. Allison, calling from God knows where, claiming once again that she was Chelsea's wife. The audacity. The absolute gall. I remember looking at Chelsea's face in that moment. She was pale, her eyes wide, her lips pressed tight like she was holding back a scream. But she didn't break. That's the thing about Chelsea. She has this ability to stare down chaos and pretend like she's fine. But I wasn't fine. My hands were shaking, my stomach was twisting, and I wanted to grab the phone and scream at Allison until my voice gave out.
How dare she?
How dare she hijack something we'd built with sweat and tears just to feed her delusion? The chat blew up. Some people thought it was staged, some thought it was hilarious, and others were genuinely worried for us. And me? I was somewhere between humiliated and terrified. Because if Allison could find a way to infiltrate our launch, what else was she capable of? That night, after we finally cut the feed and shut everything down, I sat in the dark with Chelsea. She didn't say much. She never does when she's really hurting. She just stared at the wall, her knees pulled up, her fingers tapping nervously against her leg. I don't get it, she whispered finally. Why won't she just let me go? I didn't have an answer. I just reached for her hand and held it. But inside I was boiling. Because the truth was I was scared too. And that fear? It bled into everything else. But while I was reeling from Allison's stunt, there was another storm brewing, Bill and Dani. Now, I've known Dani long enough to say this without judgment. She has a way of finding herself in the kind of messes you can't look away from. This time, it was waking up hungover, married to Andre, with photos blasted across social media thanks to Anita. I remember the way she described it later, her voice low and shaky. It wasn't just a bad night. It was like waking up in a nightmare.
But Bill didn't see it that way.
No, Bill had his own twisted logic. He stormed into Dani's apartment, ranting about how she'd married someone younger, how reckless she was. As if he had any right to judge. As if he wasn't practically raising Hayley between juice boxes and coloring books. What Dani didn't expect, what none of us expected, was how Bill's anger turned into something else. Obsession. I don't know what it is about forbidden fruit that makes people lose their minds, but I could see it happening in real time. Bill couldn't stop circling Dani, couldn't stop questioning her, pushing her, digging into her life like he was entitled to every detail. And Dani? Well, she's human. She's vulnerable. And sometimes, when someone looks at you with that much intensity, it's hard not to fall into it. That kiss, they thought it was a secret. They thought nobody would find out. But secrets have a way of clawing their way into the light. And when Hayley discovered it, God, I've never seen her so furious. Hayley is not the type to quietly stew in jealousy.
No.
She's fire and brimstone. She lashed out, her voice sharp, her eyes blazing, accusing Bill of betraying her, of humiliating her, of making her look like a fool. And Bill? He just stood there, caught between guilt and desire, like a man who knows he's destroying himself, but can't stop. Watching it all unfold was like watching a house burn from the inside out. You want to run in and save something, anything, but you know it's too late. The flames have already swallowed it whole.
And Dani?
She was stuck in the middle, torn between the chaos of Bill and the safety of Andre, even if Andre wasn't really what she wanted. And while all of this was happening, Kat was on her own mission. Kat has always had this hunger for control, especially when it comes to Tomas. She can't let go, even when it's clear the pieces don't fit anymore. So, when Tomas drifted toward Eva, Kat didn't see it as love or compatibility. She saw it as war. I'll never forget the day she vented to Chelsea about it. Her voice cracked in a way I hadn't heard before. I can't lose him to her. I won't. Chelsea tried to talk her down, tried to remind her that love isn't about winning or losing, but Kat didn't hear it. To her, this wasn't about love. It was about pride, about proving that Eva could never take what was hers. But here's the truth. Tomas was already slipping away. And deep down, Kat knew it. Meanwhile, Andre tried to play house with Dani, pretending like moving in together might fix the cracks. But his eyes told another story. His heart was still tangled up in Ashley, no matter how hard he tried to bury it. And Joey, oh, Joey. He was the shadow over everything. Vanessa was still grieving Doug, still searching for answers, still clinging to hope that maybe it hadn't been an accident. And Joey? He played the part of comforter, so well it was almost believable.
But I saw it.
I saw the way his eyes lingered on her, the way his hands tightened when her son Daniel showed up and started asking questions. Joey thought Doug's death cleared the path for him. He thought Vanessa was his for the taking. When I finally managed to pull myself together that night, I sat on the edge of my bed staring at the floor. My phone kept buzzing, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. It was Dani, of course. She always reached out when she knew I was spiraling. She has this radar for other people's pain, probably because she's had her share of it. But the truth was I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to explain. I didn't want to relive it out loud. Instead, I poured myself a glass of wine, even though I knew it would probably make my headache worse. And I just sat there, sipping slowly, thinking about Allison. Thinking about the stalker game she kept playing, and wondering when it would stop. Or if it would stop at all. It sounds dramatic, but the thought crossed my mind. What if she's never going to leave me alone? I know people like to throw around the word crazy when it comes to Allison. And maybe she is. But the scariest part about her isn't just the obsession, it's how smart she is about it. She doesn't just show up randomly, screaming in the street. She plans it. She schemes. She finds the cracks in my life and pries them open with her words, her little coincidences, the way she makes everyone else question if, maybe, I'm the one overreacting. That's why it exploded the way it did. Because people didn't believe me at first. They thought I was exaggerating, or that Allison was just going through something. And I had to carry the burden of proof, like I was on trial for my own safety. Do you know what it feels like when someone is slowly stealing pieces of your peace of mind, and all the world sees is a misunderstood woman who just cares too much? It makes you feel insane. That's the word for it. But I wasn't crazy. And Hayley, bless her, finally saw that. When Hayley blew up, it wasn't just because she was mad about Dani or Bill, or whoever was kissing whoever that week. No, It was because she saw how much of my life Allison had poisoned, and she wasn't about to sit quietly anymore. Hayley has this way of letting anger take the wheel, and that night was no exception. She came storming into the launch event rehearsal like she was on fire, her hair practically sparking, her eyes sharp enough to cut glass. "Enough," she yelled, throwing her bag down on the table so hard everyone in the room jumped. "This ends right now. I am not going to sit here and watch Allison Bailey tear this family apart just because she's miserable in her own skin." It was one of those moments where time slows down. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Madison froze mid-laugh, Chelsea went pale, and even Kat, who usually has something sharp to say, just sat there stunned. I should have felt relief. Finally, someone else was saying what I'd been screaming inside my own head for months. But instead, I felt this sick kind of dread crawl through me, because I knew what came next. Allison wasn't going to just roll over and disappear. If anything, Hayley's fury was like throwing gasoline on a fire. And sure enough, within hours, Allison found a way to make herself heard. Chelsea's phone rang first. She didn't answer, but a minute later it lit up with a voicemail. I'll never forget the way her face changed as she listened to it. Her jaw clenched tighter with every second, her eyes narrowing until she finally ripped the phone away from her ear and slammed it on the counter. "She's saying we're married now," Chelsea whispered. "She's actually saying I'm her wife. On the record. Like it's real." I felt my stomach twist. That was Allison's game, claiming me in public, dragging me into her fantasy until I couldn't tell what was real anymore. And now, she was taking it to another level, trying to stamp it into the world like it was fact. I can't explain the fear that comes with being stalked by someone like Allison. It isn't just about them showing up at your door. It's the way they crawl into your relationships, your work, your sense of self. They make you question if maybe you did give them the wrong impression, if maybe you were too kind that one night, too open that one afternoon. And then they take those cracks in your doubt and wedge themselves so deep you don't know how to get them out. Hayley saw me crumble, and that's when her fury turned into fire. She started making calls, lawyers, producers, security people. She told me, if she wants a war, then she picked the wrong damn family. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe I wasn't alone in it anymore. But Allison wasn't just my problem anymore. She had her eyes on Chelsea, too. And once Chelsea got dragged in, things went from bad to worse. Because Chelsea, unlike me, doesn't back down. And when she fights to win. The night of the launch was supposed to be about us celebrating something good for once. Chelsea Cat was finally going live. Madison had worked her but off to get the stream looking perfect, and Samantha was buzzing around like the teenager genius she is, making sure all the tech ran smoothly. But of course, Allison found her way in. We were less than 20 minutes into the event when the screen behind us glitched. At first, I thought it was just a technical hiccup. But then her face popped up, Allison's face, staring straight into the camera like she was in the room with us. "Hello, everyone," she said with that slow, chilling smile. "I'm so glad you could all join us tonight. Especially my wife, Chelsea." The audience gasped. Madison froze. And I felt like I couldn't breathe. Hayley launched forward like she was ready to tear the screen down with her bare hands, but it was too late. Allison had hijacked the stream. She went on and on about how she and Chelsea were bound together, how nothing anyone did could separate them, how this launch was proof that Chelsea was embracing their union.
It was horrifying.
And worst of all, it was live. Thousands of viewers watched in real time as this woman declared her delusion as if it were gospel truth. By the time Madison killed the feed, the damage was done. Social media was already ablaze. Hashtags, rumors, clips, it was everywhere. And that's when Hayley's fury turned into something even bigger. Vengeance. She swore right then and there that Allison's reign of terror was going to end, even if it meant dragging every dark secret Allison ever kept into the light. And knowing Hayley, she meant it. But for me, the explosion left scars. Because you can't just walk away from something like that and go back to normal. Every time my phone buzzes, every time I hear a strange knock on the door, I jump. I wonder if she's still out there, planning her next move.